What's a Guy On? I make music as MJ GUIDER, and these are my Sisters in Christ guest picks. I decided to make my choices based solely on aesthetics and not what the music sounds like necessarily, though I fully back what all of these records sound like, incidentally. The first thing that I picked, I don't know what this sounds like, but I'm a big fan of LIZZY's, and this design is really, really cool. I love when text wraps around from front to back, or when any images wrap around from front to back. I think this is a really cool photo. There's just like this really interesting motion to it, and it's framed really cool, and I love that it's just kind of monochromatic, but there's a lot of depth to it, and I can't wait to listen to it because I'm not familiar with this record. So that's my first thing. This, I love this track. This is a jam, and the record cover is super cool. I really like how the weight of the text changes, and the group name and how it's framed, and I love this image, and I really, like I said, I love this song, so I'm really excited to see it in Sisters in Christ. You should check it out. I particularly like the New York disco mix and the UK disco mix. Those are my faves. Usually I go for the club mix. The club mix is good too. They're all good. Listen to all 4 versions. My next thing is something that is non-music. This is bird sounds, and I don't usually go for this kind of type, but the way that the text is framing, the way that the text is framing this image, I think is really interesting, and it looks kind of handset, which one of my favorite design methods is to have a lot of like things that you can see were made by someone's hands, and not just like this was done in Photoshop. I want like to see something physical in it, and you can kind of see in the type that it's imperfect and that there's something, you know, really like human to it, which I really appreciate. And also this photo, there isn't a bird anywhere in this photo, which I think is really cool, because obviously the whole point of this is to listen and experience it by ear and not by eye. So I think that this is kind of a perfect choice. And also on the back, there's a photo of the actual recording equipment, which I think is amazing, and a really sweet note by the person who recorded it, which makes you know that this is a labor of love. So it's a nice touch. Next, I have a couple of records that were designed by Julian House, who is one of my favorite graphic designers. This is one of my favorite records of all time. He's designed for Stereolab, for Broadcast, for his own label, which this record is out on Ghostbox. He's an extremely talented graphic designer, and he does what I'm talking about, where there's a lot of human elements to it, like painted type, and he does a lot of collage work, and it's really inspired by pulp art, and like makes me think of crazy, beautiful Czech film posters, and his aesthetic is like amazing, and across his body of work you can see these touches which are like distinctly his, and they're nostalgic, but they're really fresh and interesting. This record by Pie Corner Audio is fantastic. This is one of my favorite artists on the Ghostbox label, and he records himself for Ghostbox under the focus group. Just an extremely talented individual, and an inspiration of mine, so I had to choose some of his designs. And last, I have a few record sleeves belonging to records designed by local graphic designer Mike Jones, who plays in the group Belong. This is the cover of the Second Woman LP from 2016, which is a local duo, or Turkey Trick, the other half of Belong, is from New Orleans and stays in New Orleans. Josh Eustace lives in LA, but he's from New Orleans, and they are Second Woman, very like off the grid, unclassifiable electronic music that's really incredible, and this cover I think is perfect for it. I love how the photo repeats and it goes off the top of the record, and there's like these blotches of paint, and the track titles and all the information is on the front instead of the back. This is another Mike Jones designed record sleeve that sideways. First Tone, another local duo, Turt Dietrich and Dwayne Petrie. And you can see it's again just like this kind of, he made these paint lines, you know, it's something that is manual and it's not just like a computer designed this or aided in it. It's like a really like tactile design that I really appreciate the aesthetics of. And that's sort of like why I admire him as a designer. There's like a lot of like human element to it, and it's a lot of like interesting repetition and interesting use of texture. And he also designed the Marker LP. This is Mike Wilkinson from New Orleans. This was out on Medical Records, and this is like a hand illustration where like you can see there's this degradation and there's this like element of depth, and it's, you know, like all of his designs, there's like this evocative sort of feel to it, but it's still really simple and minimal, but there's enough going on where it's just right, you know. So yeah, I fully encourage anyone to listen to all these records because they're all fantastic records, but they're also beautiful designs. And that's it. Thanks.